Back in the late 1970s, right after I had graduated from seminary, I was part of an ecumenical prayer group in Lubbock, Texas. We met at a Catholic church just off the campus of Texas Tech, led by a priest who was very involved in ministries of prayer. It was a wonderful time of growing and learning about spiritual disciplines. Being the late 1970s, that was the era of the Islamic Revolution in Iran, and while I was a part of this group, the American embassy was laid siege to, and the American representatives in that facility were all taken captive. You remember those days, the trauma, the fear, the agony of those days. I remember going to one of the prayer sessions, and the question was asked of the priest, what's your response? What are you thinking, and how are you responding to what's taking place around us? And he said, what I'm doing right now is I'm praying for the conversion of the Ayatollah. And everybody in that prayer group laughed. We thought he was making a funny. But he wasn't. He was serious. Yesterday I had a long conversation with my son in Chicago. He and some of his actor friends had breakfast, and they were pondering what response they should make to what's happened this week, the outbursts of violence in this culture of death. What responses should they make to what happened in Baton Rouge and Minneapolis? And we talked about the legal things that need to happen. We talked about the legislative things that need to happen. We talked about the educational kinds of things that need to happen. But because he is a Christian, he said, my worldview tells me that while doing all those things, there's still something else that needs to be done. This is, he said, ultimately a spiritual problem, and I couldn't agree with him more. This is fundamentally a spiritual problem that we face. Awakening here in Dallas this morning with the terrible news of the shootings of the police officers downtown just once again remind me that for all of the legal and judicial and educational remedies to social problems, that it's fundamentally a spiritual issue that we face. All of the laws are in place to prohibit what happened in Minneapolis. All the laws are in place to prohibit what happened in Baton Rouge. All the laws are in place to prohibit what happened downtown in Dallas last night. And yet they happened. What we need is a change of hearts. And so what response am I making this morning to the news of the tragedies of this week? I'm praying. I'm praying for some conversions. I'm praying that Jesus, who is in the business of changing hearts, will get on with that work in and through the church, because I think that's what this moment most desperately requires.